I'm going to tell the story about why SUSE is your ideal strategic partner. And it goes back 25 years. 25 years of enterprise Linux. What I mean to say is, 25 years ago, SUSE invented enterprise Linux. And you can see here behind me, this is a quote from a press release of the first truly enterprise-grade Linux distribution released by SUSE, ironically, for a mainframe. But an i386 version came out just a few months later. And if you think about how long 25 years is, if you went to get a PhD 25 years ago, you could have gotten 5 PhDs in that time. Now, then as now, practitioners and enterprise IT shops, they were challenged with maximizing their business impact, minimizing costs. Think about the year 2000. We had all just come off the Y2K bug, all that churn, fixing all those Y2K bugs, and the first dot-com bust, right? So just massive pressures on these IT organizations to maximize their impact while reducing their costs. And so you can imagine people looking at all these workloads start to think maybe Linux is starting to look pretty attractive, right? Just to pick a couple of them. Web hosting, can we move that off of our, car costing Solaris station and move to some, Linux blades? Email, ERP, that's a little foreshadowing, because at the time, running SAP was one of the biggest workloads that people were running on those mainframes. But it wasn't so easy. It wasn't so easy because enterprises have enterprise requirements, right? And back in 2000, we tackled the first really basic ones, right? SUSE came out with a predictable life cycle, right? So an IT organization could plan when their next version, when their upgrades would be, and that kind of thing. And also, L1, L2 support, right? Like, who are you going to call when you have an issue? Well, to this day, SUSE is known for the longest regular support life cycles, and we're known for our sky-high net promoter scores on our L1 and L2 support. People love our support teams. Now then what crept in? More enterprise requirements. L3 support, right? Can you fix my bugs upstream? So SUSE innovated with L3, and you can still see that today. SUSE is a key part of the upstream kernel community, among the highest contributors, as Thomas was bragging about before. In fact, he didn't mention that if you go back and look at some of the recent kernel versions, the single highest contributing engineer in the list in LWN is a SUSE engineer. We're worried about provenance, right? Do we know where this software is coming from? And so we came out with this build sealed process, mitigate that risk of a tool chain attack. But then security certifications came in, right? People wanted third-party verification that Linux was being built in a secure way. And so SUSE now is known for having the highest level of certifications and the most certifications. Whether it's FIPS, NIST, EAL, doesn't matter what it is, I promise you that we are going to be ahead of the competition in our certifications. And then, of course, patching. If there is an issue, can we respond? SUSE is early adopter and extremely active to this day in the embargoed CVE mailing list. We invented enterprise Linux. We met all of those enterprise requirements. And since then, enterprise Linux has pervaded all aspects of enterprise IT. And so what happened there, right? Really realistically, Linux is at the core of open source. And the nature of open source is evolution will happen in all directions, right? And so indeed, Linux has evolved to pervade all aspects of enterprise IT. It's hard to remember in 2000, it was not like that. So think about it, without Linux, we'd be running mainframes with Unix. Without virtualization on Linux, there would have been no explosion of the cloud, right? Without containers on Linux, there would be no cloud native, right? And without enterprise Linux, There would be no third-party certification of key workloads, like the hundreds of ISVs who have certified on SUSE Linux, including SAP. Enterprise Linux has, evolved and pervaded all of these aspects, and SUSE has the deep expertise over 25 years underpinning all of this. Okay, so choice. Obviously, enterprises need choice, and we talk about some of the fundamentals of choice. We make Linux, we support many Linuxes. We make Kubernetes, we support many Kubernetes. But if you're an IT organization, there's a lot of other kinds of heterogeneity that you're dealing with, right? Your workloads vary on multiple dimensions. Location, right? Am I running on the data center? Am I running on the edge, right? On the cloud, anywhere in between. Scale. Some applications, extremely mission critical, run once a day. Other applications are processing millions of transactions a minute. Uptime, all right? Some applications cannot afford to be offline for 1 second. Other applications, you want to wind them down over the weekend so that you don't waste cloud costs. So there's all this different heterogeneity in the priorities of your workloads in all these different modalities of Linux. And so really, if you're in an IT organization and you're looking at all the workloads, the complexity of the heterogeneity is real. It's much higher than it was in the year 2000. But the primary challenge remains, right? You're still under extraordinary pressure to maximize impact and reduce costs. And here we are coming off this weird pandemic with all the related booms. Let's take a pause in the story here, and let's actually talk to a partner and a customer who they're both working with SUSE. All three of us are working together to maximize the impact of enterprise Linux. All right, so that was great. We heard from a couple, from a partner, from a customer. We're all working together. But isn't it amazing that it's enterprise Linux that's powering workloads of that scale, right? 25 years of mastery of every aspect of Linux. Let's reconnect where we were in the story before our guests. We were talking about heterogeneity that you are dealing with in your environments. And what I want to say is, SUSE has you covered on all of those different dimensions. And let me just hit a few of them right now. Maybe you have some servers, you just need to keep those workloads in place. You can't afford a risky migration. Maybe you're paying through the nose to some kind of lock-in oriented vendor and you're looking for an alternative, right? We have multi-Linux support where you can keep those servers in place and maintain them for a predictable life cycle, migrate those workloads on your terms, based on your choices. We have some really nice advancements in multi-Linux support coming out. For instance, we'll be supporting upgrades between major releases, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9. Again, in place, no migration, major upgrades. But also, we're going to be supporting minor releases, right? What that means is maybe you have a workload that's running on an unsupported, right now, minor release in 6, 7, 8, 9. SUSE will be extending support to all of those minor releases. So you can stay on that minor release, plan your migration at the time that makes sense for you. I always say, accept in your heart that you're going to have a heterogeneous Linux estate. Just accept it in your heart. SUSE's okay with that. We're good. We have multi-Linux manager. We can throw your arms around all of those different Linuxes and get control of that estate. Make sure everything is meeting compliance needs. Everything's up to date. Get your operations running more smoothly across all those different Linuxes. So we're coming out with richer role-based access controls. And this is important because this is going to allow you to do more clever integrations with your scripts and other tools that you have in your environment. And we're also going to have more fully supported host environments for you. Let me talk about SUSE Linux Enterprise a little. So we have 2 big releases this year of Enterprise. This 25-year mark is a really big culmination for us. So first, we're going to release the last service pack for SUSE Linux Enterprise 15. There's a couple key things about this. First of all, this is going to be the most stable place to run your workloads for literally 12 years. Like, think about that. Like, you can have no drama maintenance in place for 12 years. But there's something else important about this point release, is that this is going to complete the zero trust puzzle for Linux, right? What that means is that we are adding confidential compute, which is a component that allows you to protect memory that is, well, say data that's in use. And that allows you to then operate in untrusted environments, like the cloud, like the edge. Okay, and then we have SUSE Linux 16 coming out, which I would like to double click on just a little bit before I bring Pete out on the stage to take over and talk about our cloud native story. So in 16, which I think we're currently scheduled for November, we're going beyond long life cycles to predictable life cycles. So there will be a cadence of releases, of point releases, and future major upgrades. So we're fulfilling a couple promises with 16. The first one is, we promised you that if you're a multi-Linux support user, that SLES 16 would be the easiest SLES to migrate to, or the easiest option to migrate to. And we're achieving that through some different technological choices, some different tooling. But we also always make a promise that you can do in-place upgrades between major versions. So this is to tell you if you're using SLES 15 today and you're ready to go to 15, that will be a zipper-based migration. So that'll be an easy migration. And of course, there's security with SE Linux support. We're bringing in Network Manager, a lot of these mainstream technological choices. We're going to continue with all the certifications, all the secure build pipeline, everything else that you've come to know and love with SUSE Linux Enterprise. So yeah, year 25 is just this amazing culmination of all of this expertise that we've built over the last 25 years in Linux, which I think is a good place to hand it over to Pete so he can come out and talk about our cloud native components.